Ready? Ready? Set. Go! Good girl.
This little bag that I got from Art.
Ready, set, go. I'm Good morning, Shiners. I just came up with that, so I hope nobody minds. I haven't even really thought about it till the other day, and it just kind of popped out. So I thought, well, I'll just try that. Since we all seem to have everybody needs a name. He's not up here yet, Carol. Go ahead and do what you need to do, and I'll have him up here in a few minutes. He'll be back, I'm sure. He usually doesn't let squirrels keep him awake this long. Teddy, you want to be online this morning? There's a lot of activity out in the bird feeders. I think I should just start calling them squirrel feeders. At least they're not knocking them down now. But I tell you what, we got some of the chubbiest squirrels I believe I've ever seen. These are corn-fed squirrels for sure. Wow, my hair's sticking up. Sorry about that. Not a great hair day. Wasn't really a good sleeping day either. Or not, rather. I guess I should. Hey, thank you, Carol. I really do appreciate that. Are you going to be able to stay long, or do you need to go soon? I was just getting ready to comment that I probably need to be sitting here talking about something, even if it's just to myself. Yeah, Risky Bear, because I want to say I want to mention a couple things today. And around here you never can tell. Somebody might take it the wrong way. So I'm going to take a chance. I couldn't think of another word to put in there that I thought was fitting. Risky's probably not the right word, but I just couldn't really come up with anything else yet. And I'll tell you in a minute. Or are you gonna be able no swimming today? Long story. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can talk about that another time. But I got this to read for you, but I was gonna wait and see if anybody else shows up. That's from Teddy. He insisted on trying to spell his own words, even though I didn't. I tried to tell him he wasn't, didn't really know about spelling. Good morning, Kay. Wow, is Brenda in there? I didn't see her name pop up. She was going to. How's things in South Carolina, Kay? Well, it's better than I thought it would be. Like I said, his spelling's a little off. But you teach early development, so you understand, sometimes letters are backwards and things. He used the letter E 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times and got it right once. Oh, she may have been. Well, that's good to hear, Kay. It looks like it might turn into a nice day here, but I'm not sure. It warmed up a little bit. It had been down fairly cool this week, but it's back up in the 60s. I think this morning, maybe, or maybe up in the 60s in the afternoon. Oops. Yeah, it's still 55. So it probably will be in the 60s today. Hey, John. Good morning, sir. Did you get to do any more fishing this week? I think Brenda's lurking. I think she's on her way in. Is that a fishing pole? That is a fish on a line, isn't it? Oh, wow. That's not a bad week's play or work. Excuse me. It's work. I understand. Well, good morning, Miss Dawn. Are the bones still in Arkansas? Or at least you and Jeff? Good to see you this morning. I enjoyed your what little bit I got to see of the hot springs tour the other day. That's interesting. Arkansas is an interesting state for sure. A good friend of mine went to college out there for her master's degree, I think, in geology. So she used to ride around with me a lot in the truck, and we talked about. I'd point to rocks and make her tell me about rocks. Oh, well, that's interesting, John. Good morning, Miss Brenda. There she is, guys. When you do that, John, is that still surf fishing, or do you go out on take people out in boats, or how does that work? Ah, Carol's got you all fixed up with needle and thread there, Brenda. Oh, cool. You'll have to tell me about that. We hadn't talked lately. I need to call you one morning and catch up a little bit. Yeah, there's lots of geos, and I mean, do they still go out? There's some place out there, a state park or a national monument where you can go pick up diamonds. I remember seeing people do that years ago, and I think Angela told me about that too. She recently moved into a new house, so Brenda and I went to a rock hound shop, for lack of a better word, or at least that's what we used to call people who collected and hunted rocks near here, and we got her something to, a shiny rock to put in her new house. Only she would appreciate a good rock. Hey, Dave. Good morning, sir. Does everybody have their tree up? That's a good question, Brenda. Do we have our tree up yet? Last time I looked, I don't think we did. Crater of Diamonds. Okay, that's it. I couldn't remember the name of it. I think that'd be pretty interesting. I know in the past there's been a couple of people actually found some pretty large diamonds out there. It's not common, but small ones evidently aren't rare. I mean, the people pick them up all the time, which I just find fascinating. Yet I've never really heard of a diamond rush like gold rush. If it'd been gold, I guess people would have torn the walls down out there, and maybe they did, but I don't remember reading about the Arkansas diamond rush. Hey, Uncas. Well, you are coming through. I see you, sir. Yeah, your phone is how to say this nicely. Your phone would be a good boat anchor, but it doesn't have anything to stick in the mud. William the Unknown Cook, good morning, sir. Good to see you here. Remind everybody to hit the like button if you do, or the dislike button. I can take it. And subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're interested in coming back. Now, the William the Unknown Cook, I guess we could try to figure out who you are, but maybe that wouldn't be any fun. Your phone sucks. Yeah, they do. That is true, because they do want whether you get service or not. That is kind of odd. Ha ha, Carol. That's very funny. Mark, I sent you a link if you're interested and want to get online with me and join the visual chat. You're welcome to. I sent it to your email if you can get that. Dave, you're from up there. What part of Michigan were you from? Everybody loves a bear. Well, depends on how that bear, what kind of mood the bear's in. Brenda might argue that point, Dave, or John. Okay, like right then, my mind went to bear cheese or something. Oh, okay. Brenda's on her dad's side of the family. A lot of her kinfolk lived up near Detroit in that area, working in the. I guess they all went up in the 50s or so to the car when the migration happened for folks from the South went up there to work in the car factories and stuff. Quite a few of her family lived up there. I guess some still do. Now that I think about it. Well, maybe that's not what he meant, Carol. Maybe he really did mean bears. Teddy. Not sure what it is that's got him so mesmerized. He watches the birds and the squirrels, but this morning he is really transfixed. Could be the sheer numbers. There's a bunch of them out there this morning. Oh, give me just a second. Went there this morning. You have to go ride a horse. What in the world would you have gotten helmet hair from? Mark, I was just sorry about that. Looking there for a minute. I had a group of cedar waxwings fly through the backyard the other day. They were picking all the berries off everything that was back there. I know there's some privet, of course, that's got berries on it right now, and probably some poison ivy scattered in there somewhere. And I think they're back. I think there's some out there right now. Usually when they pick something clean, they usually don't come back, but maybe there's still stuff out there. Bear with me, folks. I need to. Besides that, last time I saw you, Mark, you don't have any hair. Well, not much anyway. Not bald, just shaved or cut short. Yep, that's what's out there. I've got some cedar waxwings in my backyard again. That's pretty cool. Don't see them all the time. One of Shrek's famous lines when he didn't want people to see him. Oh. Yeah, well, I see them down here every once in a while, but I don't know that I've ever seen them in this backyard. I used to see them, mob. We get a big tree with, big heavy vines of poison ivy just covered with berries. I've seen them attack that. Red cedars, when the berries are on red cedars, they'll just mob one. So this week's the first time I've ever seen them here at this house that I can recall. It's pretty cool. I'm sure he does, John. You need to come down to Tennessee then, because I about bet you I could show you a bear or two without too much trouble. Not guaranteed, but pretty close. Okay, there's several people in here now, and since Carol's back, Teddy's busy. He asked me to share a letter with you folks, and who are on his fan club. And he says, "Dear fan club and Miss Carol," that's it. "Thank you for being my friend. Signed, Teddy. P.S. Send tweets. He really likes treats. He likes the squeezy kind, but he eats the crunchy ones too. Pretty short letter, but he doesn't write all that well. He's just learning to spell. You can see he got some of his letters wrong. He asked me for some help, but he didn't ask me for too much help. He wanted to do it himself. So I let him. So there you go, Carol. He wanted to make sure you knew. And don't be fooled. He might have just said that because he thinks you might send him treats. That's possible. He's a little shallow like that at times. And we were having a long discussion last night. He was pretty thoughtful, but that was just me and him. Carol said you were very sweet, Teddy, for your letter. He said thank you. He is really glued to the window out here today. He's and there may be chipmunks out there on the patio. There's leaves on the porch, and they can just about hide and just rustle around through the leaves, and that could be what's got his attention, because he's looking more down than up. If I thought he could catch some of those squirrels, I believe I'd let him go, or let him out there. He's not outside. He's actually looking through the door. He's an inside boy. But right now he needs a claw trim, so if he got a hold of one of them, I think he could probably do some damage. Yes, he is a treat boy, that's for sure. Actually, they all are, but he's definitely he don't pass up many meals, treats or otherwise. Well, I had a topic this morning. Hey, Shelly. Hey, guess what's in my backyard? Of course, you can read up and see them, probably. I've got a little flock of cedar waxwings. Looks like they might have moved down the fence line. Anyway, I had a flock of cedar waxwings out here lately, and well, if there's berries on the holly tree, I guarantee you they're out there eating them. Yep, critters, cedar waxwings. We don't get those here very often. Well, they pass through here. You might have more than us, actually. But I think they're really neat birds. I think they're very pretty. Their feathers remind me of penguin feathers almost. They're so short and tight looking. They're not, but just kind of what they put me in mind of. Yeah, they are. They're really pretty, Shelly. So I had a topic, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to talk about it. I invite you to give your opinions. I hope you stay around to hear it all. I know anytime you bring up anything that's even the least controversial, you stand the risk of losing subscribers, and I don't have very many subscribers, so I hope you all will understand can appreciate the vein this is coming from. I guess I'm not trying to really start a fight or an argument. I'm really looking for an answer, or looking for answers. So my answer has to do with volunteerism in this country. I mean, that's the heart of it, but it's more relevant than that. And I live in the volunteer state, they say, and we got that nickname from. Actually, originally came from the War of 1812, because so many men volunteered to go fight the British in the War of 1812 in the state of Tennessee that they picked up that moniker, that name. And so we had, volunteerism, but volunteerism in this country as a whole, when it came to certain issues, at least, has always been a something we did, something we do. I made some quick notes, for example. They made one call in 1812 for volunteers, and Tennessee sent 1,500 right away. And that doesn't sound like many today, but back then that was a pretty good sized army. I mean, usually armies that fought back then were 3,000 or 4,000 people, or maybe 10 or 15 in this country, the British and us. But until the Civil War rolled around, of course, then they were much larger. But that's where the name started. And then I was looking up also for volunteers during the Second World War, for example, and from 41 to 46, about 6.3 million Americans volunteered to go fight in World War II. The British and the Japanese. 2 million volunteered to go fight in World War One, and that's out of it. And that's the year. That's when they started conscription or the draft, and that 2 million was half of the men that came into the service and fought or signed up to fight in World War One, which I thought was pretty telling also. And then, of course, after 9/11, there was a huge increase in volunteers for the military and other organizations. The Red Cross called for volunteers in the days immediately after 9/11, and they had like 60,000 people. Let's see if I got that right. About 57,000 or so, just in the few days immediately after 9/11 to come up to New York and help with relief efforts and searching and all that kind of stuff. And nearly 200,000 men enlisted within that same time period, which again doesn't sound like a huge number, but considering it we now have a volunteer army. That was pretty good, and that was just in a limited time after 9/11 happened. So my question is, please don't. I hate me if you have to. I'm going to ask anyway. But so something that's confused me for over a year now is why with this country we've always been so. Hey, buddy, you want to come up and say hi before I get going? Hang on just a minute. We have a guest. Come here. I already read your letter. Say hi. What? Now, wait a minute. Say hi before you get mad and get down. Goodness. What were you looking at out there? Squirrels? Was that all about squirrels? You gonna say hi to Carol? You never know. She might send you a treat. Okay, you want to get down? You want to talk about this or not? Okay, I'm down. Come here. Let me pull you up close. He didn't like to be too far away. He reaches out and pulls over on my arm of my shirt. So I need to get him fairly close. At this time, he's probably going to have to go have a snack now. He's been busy. We may lay down in his heater bed, too. That's possible. Man, he nailed me on the arm. So anyway, what's the thing that's bugged me about the bag of cracked corn? Well, that'd be comfortable, I think. Hey, Francisco. Good morning, sir. Glad to see you here. So the thing that's bugged me for months now is why we've had so much resistance in this country when it came to COVID-19. And I know there's been lots of information, good and bad, false and otherwise. And I don't want to go, I'm not trying to go down the political path here. I'm just trying to ask a question. Everybody's mad now because they're trying to mandate vaccinations and mandate mask wearing. And and we're all up in arms about that. Nobody wants to do it. But what I'm trying to figure out is why didn't we volunteer to do it in the first place? Why did we not, why do Americans not want to stand up and fight an enemy, even though it's a microscopic one, when we've stood up for over 200 years now and fought even our own self, when the enemy was from within in the 1860s, when we fought a civil war against each other. Even that was in the effort to preserve the Union. Yeah, there was all kinds of underlying factors, sure, but it was still about preserving the Union. It was for America. The War of 1812, the Second World War. I mean, what would we have done if our fathers and grandfathers had not gone to Europe or not gone to Japan to fight the war? And I know there's lots of rumors about, this virus is not natural. It came from a lab. Somebody started it. It came from China. It came from here. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. I'm not here to argue that point. My point is, no matter where it came from, it's killing Americans and it's damaging America. It has damaged our reputations. It's damaged our economy. It's killed over 700,000 people now that we know, family and friends. There's probably not anybody in this room this morning that hasn't known somebody who's either been really sick or has passed away, and maybe more than one somebody. I've personally known a couple of people now that have passed away from COVID. Again, I'm not trying to start a fight about politics. I'm trying to figure out why we don't want to fight this war against a deadly agent that is just as bad in many ways as Hitler in Europe or Tojo in Japan or slavery in the South, for that matter. I mean, I know that's a different topic, but still, those are the kinds of things the Americans stood up for and volunteered for. Volunteers are pretty important to me. My last job depended a lot on volunteerism. If I hadn't had the volunteers I had to help me do part of my job, I never would have been able to do it. Let's see here. Mark says, we used to take shots like a bunch of new recruits in big lines of children. Don't remember too much complaint. No, I mean, us children cried back then because we had to get our shot in our butt or our arm. But we still did it. And I know I've talked to some people, maybe here. I know probably Mark, and I know Brendan and I have talked about it. In the 1960s, we all lined up and took a polio vaccination. I don't remember hearing people. Now, I was young. I was probably in the first, second, third grade when we did that. But I still don't remember everybody standing there complaining or saying it was some kind of conspiracy theory. I'm not saying it shouldn't be voluntary. I'm trying to figure out why we don't volunteer to do it. I'm trying to figure out why we want to fight it so bad that we can't see what else it's doing to the country. It's still a vaccine. I'm not going to argue whether it's a vaccine or not. I mean, the flu vaccine is less effective than this vaccine is, and I've been getting one. I've had the flu a time or two, and so I got over that and started taking a flu shot, and I haven't had the flu since. So maybe it don't work, but it's helped me. I mean, it's kept me from having it again. I know the first time I had it, I thought I was dying, and then I'm afraid I wasn't going to die. And it should be voluntary. I'm not saying it shouldn't be. I'm just saying, why aren't we volunteering to do it? We volunteered to go into the airplane factories and build airplanes. And I get that, Carol. I think there's some value to that, but I think there's been a lot of people have taken it now. I'm not sure some of that stands up now. I mean, many millions of people have had the shots now, I'm still here. I'm still doing fine. It is a fight about the mandated. We wouldn't have to be mandated though if we got in line and took our polio shot like we did in 1963 or whenever it was. And I don't know all that, Shelley, so you'll have to tell me that later or now or whenever. But what I'm really getting at here is why, if some people don't take vaccines, I get that. I mean, they don't want to get their kids vaccinated for school or anything like that. And this is all new, and the vaccines are new, and they came about really quick and all that. But why do we fight it so much? I mean, why is it not something we would want to stop? And polio is not entirely gone, though, Don. It's still out there. It's just not in this country. Well, same here, Carol. Or at least for part of that, I am the elderly parent in my case. And like I said, I didn't start this discussion to have. I don't want to make anybody mad. I'm not trying to start a fight. I did a lot. I did some research about other things in the past. This was months ago, and I actually had an idea for coming out with something for mask. And um, I was thinking about all those stuff that came out like for World War II, and it was Rosie the Riveter posters and Uncle Sam Wants You and those kind of things that people reacted to in this country and went to war, whether they went to war in Europe or whether they went to war in the airplane factories or if they started doing something else. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, like I said, I was taking a risk bringing it up, but it's just something that's been on my mind a lot. Yeah, Don, I don't know if I mean, it was safe and proven in a sense, but not that much more than this. It took longer then because they didn't know how to do it as well, but it still could have backfired. I mean, there were still people that said, polio vaccine's dangerous. You shouldn't take it, just like stuff is today. No, it doesn't, Shelley, but so far it seems to, if you've been vaccinated and you do catch it, it seems to be much less severe, which to me would be worth it. I mean, I don't want to. The people I know that have died or that have had it have really struggled and really suffered. And the thing is, the effects are still happening. They don't know how long the effects are going to last for some people. There's been a lot of people out there who've survived it, but have had to have lung transplants, for example. I agree, Don. Carol, it is, and I'm just bringing it up because it's something that's really eaten at me for a long time. Um, again, I understand the resistance to be mandated, but we're mandated to do all kinds of things. I mean, technically, we're mandated to vaccinate our kids before they go to school. I know some people don't, some people do, but most people do. I mean, I don't know what the percentages are, but I'm sure we could find them somewhere. That's mandated. Even when I went back to college in my 30s, I had to go get certain shots again, or I couldn't get in. No, we don't. But we didn't on most of them either. I mean, even polio, even if it was tested, it's still long term effects. We still didn't know for that either. I agree, Shelley. I agree with that. I'm not arguing that we don't have the liberty and the choice. I think we should. But if you don't want the shot, what about wearing a mask? I mean, why do we refuse to wear masks? I'm not arguing the fact that this is America and we should have choices. I don't necessarily agree with the mandated shots, but I also don't get the absolute resistance to not doing it at all. Well, then we need, I mean, I get that, Shelley, but then we need to get rid of a lot of other mandated stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this country that's mandated, and we still do it. Um, I don't know. We got to have a driver's license. That's a mandate. You don't really have a choice whether you get a license or not. Most states anymore, you don't have a choice whether you get insurance or not. I mean, I guess you don't have to get it, but you'll probably go to jail if you don't. Nah, I don't totally agree there, Shelley. I've read on it too. I don't think that. Maybe that's true, but it seems to help. My point there is again, if it helps, why not try? That's my only question. I mean, why not try to fight it? Why not do everything we can to fight it and get rid of it and be shed of it, and then not have to be worrying about every time we turn on the news that there's not a new variant somewhere. Because as long as it keeps spreading, there's going to keep being variants. That's how viruses work. No, it doesn't, Shelley. I agree there, but I'm just saying it's another mandated thing. Well, Don, I'm older than you are, I believe, and I agree and disagree. I mean, Americans lined up for. I've lined up for a lot of things in my life that I didn't necessarily want to, but I'm an American too, and I love this country, and I love what it stands for. I just wonder what we're standing. I'm not sure what we're standing for. Well, I agree there too. The common cold is the same kind of COVID virus. It's a not a COVID virus, but a oh, tell me, Mark, if you're still in here, what's the right word? It's like SARS or MARS or some of those diseases. Maybe COVID is the right word. It's a COVID. What is it called? Well, anyway, they're all related. And it's very similar to SARS. And a few years back, SARS. Well, like I said, coronaviruses. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, sir. It is a coronavirus. Don't disagree with you there either, Shelley, but I'm not sure this is one I want to be exposed to. I mean, getting it, and here's the other thing about that. I know people who've had it, no shots, but have had the, and just because they had it once doesn't mean they're immune to it. It doesn't seem to work that way. I know one guy's had it at least 3 times, and his dad died, or his wife died, this past spring. A lot is happening, and I mean, and I hope that eventually we're going to pass this. Oh, I'm not going to give up my liberty too. I've got a safe full of guns back here. I mean, I believe in the Second Amendment. I don't believe in some of the things that go along with that at times. I'll be honest with you, but I do have my rifles and my pistols, and I do like to go hunting and do that sort of thing. Well, I don't know if I agree with that either, Shelley. Exactly. Yeah, I know that's happened in some cases, but I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I think there's ways you can work around some of that stuff. I, gun control is a whole nother issue with me. I like I said, I have them, and well, mandates do. I'm not arguing that mandates are a good thing. I don't think they are either. But what do you do when nobody wants to take it seriously? If that's the case, you may be well educated. I would think you are well educated, Shelley. But I know some people that don't look up anything and just believe it because they heard their uncle say it. I mean, I don't know if that's educated. Well, I won't say that's wrong, Don, but there's been nearly 1 million people in this country died from it. That's pretty serious, I think. We didn't know a whole lot about the Spanish flu either, but we spread it all over the world. And I don't know if we ever did anything about that. I mean, I don't know if we ever really figured it out. Oh, I don't. I won't. That's true too, Shelley. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not. I don't know that we should be afraid. I just think we should stand up to it and fight it. The virus in this case is what I mean. That, to me, that's the real enemy here. But we'll see. Maybe we're on the downhill slide, and maybe we can get past it to the point where. Problem with viruses is, and most of you know this, if you don't get rid of it, or most of it, or the vast majority of it, it will keep mutating and keep spreading. And the further it mutates, then the harder it's going to be to do anything with. And I mean, we have that problem now with so many diseases because we have taken too many antibiotics and handing them out willy nilly, and now people, they don't help. That's interesting, Shelley. I don't know if I agree with that, but that's an interesting thought. But like I said, I brought this up because I knew it would be risky. But I wanted to say what I had to say about it, and you're free to say what you think about it. And hopefully you'll all come back and talk about coffee and bears next week or later, whatever. And so do I, Carol. And that's the thing. I respect everybody in this room. And that's why I took a chance. Honestly, that's part of the reason why I brought it up today. It's just something that's been on my mind and something I've been trying to figure out. And it's bothered me a lot for months. Well, I wanted it. I was glad to get it. I took it when he was still in office. So I don't remember when it came out now, but I was glad to see him come out. Well, I don't know. I mean, I still hear a lot of people, some like you, Shelley, who don't want it, and some who just, good morning, pass holder pair. God, I can never think of your names. Val. I can always remember Val, but I know that's not Val. I consider myself not obviously a practicing scientist or a doctor, but I do consider myself a scientist, a biologist, a wildlife specialist, whatever. And it's just I've been looking at it from the science side of things and trying to keep up with some of that. And so to me, it's a little different subject. I hate that it's become mandatory. I do think that's wrong. Um, but I also, Shelley, if you and Dawn have done your research and you're comfortable with your answers, I think that's great. What drives me nuts is when I hear somebody sit at a dining room table and tell me that because they're, in this case, their preacher said they shouldn't do it because the virus is God's will or God's way of thinning out the herd for no other reason, then that kind of gets to me. And I've had that happen. And I don't really mean to disagree, Don, but I'm not sure I do agree on all of that. Maybe the shot, but the mask thing, if it prevented you from giving it to Riley or Kylie, would you not rather wear the mask than take a chance on passing it on? I mean, that's just all I'm trying to ask. Well, I don't know about that, Sally. I don't know if I agree totally or not because I've read some stuff too, but yeah, it's just I think what's real. Well, I'm not even gonna say that right now. I'll pass on that. They are the least affected, but they still die, and they still get very sick. Um, there's been more since the latest variant has come out. We'll see what this new one does, but um, I'm hard headed and don't want them to tell me what to do. I'm a freak trapper, by God. I did, but I did take the vax for my family since I was the last holdout. Well, good for you, Mark. I knew you had it, but I didn't know the circumstance. You and I didn't discuss this last week, so. And like I said, I'm not trying to. I'm sure as hell not going to fight you over it because you're my brother. Well, see, there I'd have to disagree with you, Shelley. Me and Ron Paul don't see eye to eye on anything. I don't think. I, I'm not sure about him. It is, and that's again. I'm going to say that is why I took the chance. Um, you know what? That's a damn good idea. I think you and Val ought to do that very thing. I was just telling Brenda about Val's. I think it was Val posted a picture of her nails and matched her glass at the Hangar Bar. Maybe I don't disagree with that either, Shelley. That's probably true, and that's not good either. I mean, that's a terrible thing too. Yeah, I know he is. I didn't say he was Republican. I just don't necessarily agree with him. Yeah, Mike, you can take a couple of doses from me if you want to. And thank you, Carol, for reminding me of his name without me having to beg. Anyway, it was just thought, and I threw it out there and I took my chances. And, you know, there's a little tiny, teeny part of me wants to bring up the subject of another subject, but I'll save that for another week. Maybe never. Maybe never, maybe so. well, well, Mike, was that before or after several drinks that she stared at the glass on her nails? I mean, it looked good. Don't get me wrong. I thought it looked excellent. Well, I'm glad, Shelley, because I still like you too. And I still say you're the best damn photographer here. So you telling me that or somebody else that? Yeah, I suspected that, Mike. I kind of wondered. But it still looked good, and it did match the glass. Uncas, where are you going riding today? You said you had a horse to go ride. Are you and the missus going out? Yeah, well, you know how us bears are. We poke each other once in a while. You're right. I should know better, but you know me well enough. You know I'm probably going to poke once in a while because that's what I do. I brought this up because I wanted to see if we could talk about it. I have an opinion. You guys have an opinion. River country, my wife. What do you mean by river country? Well, that's cool, Shelley. And I honestly, I appreciate your input. I really do. And maybe we'll talk about it again. Maybe you and I'll talk about it someday. But I do hope you're not leaving just because I'm an ass. Um, well, I figured that was the river you were talking about, but I wasn't sure if you meant some place in particular. Um, you have a great time with your daughter and tell everybody I said hi. Please continue to send your great pictures out. And I do hope to see you back here again. Again, I didn't. I took a chance on turning friends into enemies, but I was hoping it wouldn't happen that way. So I hope it hasn't. And that goes for everybody in the room. And with that word, we will move on to something else. But I wanted to ask, it's just something I've been trying to figure out for a while, even back before it was mandated. I actually started discussing this before it was ever mandated. So that's not why I thought of it, but it's partly why it keeps getting stirred. So I thought I'd bring it up. I mean, somebody's got to. We kind of hide around these things in this community where we don't want to talk about bad things. We don't want to bring people down. We don't want to, we want to keep everybody upbeat. And I 100% agree with that. God knows I need to be kept up. Um, you too, Shelley, and I mean that. Um, if anybody here I've been down in that dark place for way too long. So it's not that I want to stay down there. I'd like to get out of it, but and you guys do a lot of that for me and help me. Getting back together with Mark Uncas here has been a huge, I won't say a life saving thing for me because I wasn't that far gone, but it's just a lot of things hadn't been fun for a long time. We'll do that sometime, Shelley. You have a good day. And when you come back, I may have squirrel pelts for sale. They keep. I can't believe the amount of food they've eaten in just a couple of days. Anyway, Don, I hope you're in here too. I hope you don't. I hope you don't turn totally against a fellow Tennessean. Are you leaving too, Brenda? Well, you guys have snow. I wouldn't be surprised. We have no snow this year. I just wouldn't be a bit surprised. Hey, Tina. Good morning, ma'am. How are you today? How many people have I got left? Do I have somebody waiting? It says I still have 10 people here. That's great. Thank God I didn't run everybody off. So who's got a football game to watch today? What happened? Nothing happened. I don't think. Are you headed to Disney World, Tina, or somewhere else? I've lost track. I've not been around lately. That's true, Kay, and that's partly why I brought this up today. I guess I did kind of want to one bounce my ideas off somebody else, and two hear other people's opinions. And I may be in a minority, but I'm gonna. I usually tend to say what I'm thinking, so I did. Oh, oh, Tina, I brought up a touchy subject, but I did it to just stir up conversation in a way. I knew it was a risk, but I took it. So we talked a little bit about COVID issues, but we've moved on now. You're welcome to watch replay and catch up, but it's got to be on people's minds, and good, bad, or otherwise. But we don't talk about it much, so I just thought I would Saturday morning. I guess you could say I trust and respect everybody on here enough that we can do that sort of thing. No, I know I am, Tina, but just because I'm allowed doesn't mean anybody else will come back. That's the problem. I'm a small channel. I can't. Well, I can. I mean, it's not like I'm losing money on it, but I mean, I don't make any money on it, so I can't lose any money on it. But I'm not doing it for that. I just would hate to run, friends off, voicing my opinion. And I pretty much figured it would be somewhat contrary to others, so I wasn't too surprised. But you're right, I am allowed, just like anybody else is. So what day do you fly down Sunday? Oh, wow, you mean tomorrow Sunday or next Sunday, Tina? Well, that's not very far away, Tina. That is exciting. What's it take to fly down there, not counting layovers or stops? It 6 hours, maybe 5, as opposed to what 25 driving, 20. At least, I mean, it takes me between 10 and 12 to drive from here, depending on traffic and stops. And that's if I drive straight through. And you're probably at least twice as far away as I am. Mark, are you still on here? I really need to touch base with you somehow. Oh, that's not bad, Tina. I thought it would be longer than that. I mean, that's about what it takes us to get there. Well, a couple hours usually. That's not bad at all. Of course, this time of year you might have a tailwind. I don't know. Depends on if we're getting a nor'easter. or a southwester, or I don't know. Depends on which way the tailwind is. If you're flying direct, you have to drive down to like JFK or someplace like that to fly out of, Tina? Or can you fly direct? Maybe you can fly from Rochester or something. Albany, okay. Well, that's not bad. 3 hours, 5 minutes. That's not bad at all. Did you finally get to watch the first day, Mark? I called. I tried to call you back last night. I was going to tell you that if you want to sit and watch the first day, I would go back and watch it with you. So I'm a day ahead of you right now, but I would be glad. I'd be thrilled to do that if we could communicate. Well, that's a significant difference, John. I have to admit. Have you heard any other news, Mark, about JB since you're a day behind? Okay, well, I would have. That's what I thought. I tried to call you back and couldn't, but there's something else I really want to talk to you about. So I don't know if Shauna's phone works. I'd really like to get a few minutes to bend your ear, but maybe later this evening. Just so folks who don't know, Mark lives in the middle of um, the Wyoming desert. He lives in, how should I say this? He lives in the land of no communications. I'm not going to say, Mark, if you hadn't seen it. I mean, I will if you don't care. I could spoil it for you, but um, Mark's phone doesn't. His phone, and apparently Sean, his wife, doesn't work a lot of times out there. And Mark and I've talked 2 or 3 times this week. And I think every time we got cut off about 5 minutes in, which is not very long for us. Oh, I don't disagree with you, Mark. There's been times when I wanted to throw mine away too, but I just really want to talk to you. And if I'm calling you too much, if we're talking too much, you need to tell me and I'll leave you alone. But I'm not going to leave you alone for 15 years again. I've missed you too much, buddy. And which is another thing we were going to talk about last week, but we really didn't. And that's old friends, because, man, when you start looking back and you've lost touch with old friends, you realize what a hole in your life they've left. I mean, obviously, there's reasons sometimes that they don't leave a hole. I had a few of those too, but in your case, that's right, John. He is sure out in those fields. That's a fact. Well, that's a good place to lose phones. Did you? My question to you would be, how many of those 7 did you actually pitch, or did you legitimately lose by falling out of your pocket? I never liked cell phones. I didn't want cell phones. I hated cell phones for a long time. And there was plenty of times when I didn't, just as soon not have one because I didn't want to call from somebody I didn't want to talk to. And I'm not talking about Bill. I'm talking about somebody wanting to chew my ear off or give me hell because I've usually when I got calls when I was at work, it was somebody wanting to raise hell or give me all the reasons why they were right and everybody else was wrong. And not politics. But the other thing is the opposite of that is usually with cell phones, you can call and talk to anybody you want to all day long, and it doesn't really cost you anything most of the time. Versus how it used to be when we were growing up, and you had to wait till after a certain time at night to call, and then it was still so much for a minute. You can see 7 pronghorn. Are they in your alfalfa field, Mark? Last time you showed me a critter picture from out there was mule deer or whitetails. I can't remember which it was now. It's standing in your alfalfa field. Okay, Carol. They could be trying to tell you something, Tina. Maybe I need to have a talk with them. John. Yeah, I imagine they have jackalopes up there too, but I'm not sure. Hey, Mark, I tell you what I'm looking for. You can tell me if you guys ever used anything like this. Probably not for small game. I want a paint gun that's light enough and small enough that I can shoot these squirrels and paint them, mark them, so I can start doing a population study. I'm really curious to see how many I've actually got out here. Mark, you did. I'll have to look for that. I've seen that magazine online. I don't know if you can read. I don't know if you can get all the articles without subscribing or not. But I must read that sometime. Mark and I were working on a theory a long time, or a hypothesis many years ago, that deer actually reacted more, had higher responses to the fact somebody who was bow hunting with feathers on their fletching for their arrows as opposed to plastic fletchings or maybe even a gun, because it was the feathers and it's because of turkey issues. Mark recapture study. There you go, catch and release squirrel hunting. I wonder if I could catch and release them on a fly rod with barbless hooks. That's a thought. I guarantee if I put some corn on one, they'd go for it. Maybe some of these guys are lunkers now. I don't know if they would if they just lay there in the bottom. They're, I swear I got a couple out here that look like they're starting to get fox squirrel size. Yeah, they make. I'd like to find some. They make paintball coloring, but everything I've read says they probably won't break. Gives me the impression they probably wouldn't break on a squirrel. If they hit it hard enough to break on a squirrel, they would have to. It'd probably kill them or hurt them bad. You might be right, Carol. That may be what the dogs are trying to do. They're trying to find me so they can get to the cats. You hear that, Tedward? Teddy says, "No way." Teddy says all dogs aren't bad. He's got 2 cousin dogs, 3 cousin dogs. Said one of them's kind of a pain. She yaps a lot, but the other two aren't too bad. Blur, blur, big fuzzy. Man, that's good coffee. I opened that bag fresh this morning. Gee, but did it smell good when I opened the bag? They were nice and black and kind of greasy looking. Well, and Teddy would probably get along just fine with Danny. He'd probably say hi back. What do you think? When Kelly and Brad were here for Thanksgiving, she brought her dogs, the poodle. I put a picture of the poodle online, and her Chin. And honestly, I don't think the cats paid any attention to either one of them. But they're also used to being around cats because Kelly has cats also. So, the only dog I've ever really had that was bad with cats was my husky. He was bad with cats. He uh, he liked to grab them behind the neck and just shake like the devil. And usually when he got through, they didn't play anymore. Unfortunately, that's why I wouldn't let the girls have cats back then. He was hard on cats, and I didn't teach him to be that way. It was a natural thing apparently because a kitten wandered into our yard when he was still probably about a year old, and he caught that kitten before I could even stop him, and it was too late. You better be careful, Carol. You'll get a care package with holes in it, and it'll be moving around. And when you open it, they'll all come charging out like the Bumpus dogs on Christmas Story. Da da da! Bumpus hounds. You'll have to send me a copy of that, Mark. We'll have to share that around a little bit. Well, good for them. That's how cats should be. If dogs only knew better, most dogs would be afraid of cats. Cat compared to a dog, cats are probably just about this far away from the saber-toothed tiger part of their family. So, and I like dogs. I'm not just picking on dogs, but cats go wild really fast. Carol, be careful now. We don't want to get in trouble for trading kids. Well, that's cool, Mark. I didn't realize you did that. That's interesting. We'll have to we'll have to share some stories, buddy, like we used to do. Many years ago, I took a well, I would say I took a hiatus from computers, but that's not true because I really hadn't gotten into using the computer as much when we first started. But I used to sit down and mark long letters on a Saturday morning or something. Oh, Tina, I absolutely believe that. Our cats do that too, especially Chloe. She knows when she sees Brenda packing a suitcase, she gets all huffy, and then won't have anything to do with her when she comes home for 2 or 3 days. And poor little Spooky, I don't think he ate while we were gone, so we may never be able to leave home again until he passes on. I'm not sure if he ate. I'm not know what he ate while we were. He was so skinny when he got home. He's just now starting to fill back out. Yeah, teens can be kind of scary. I remember. So, how many teens, Carol? How many teens would you trade for one Teddy cat? Just curious. Maybe not Teddy. How about a Simon cat? Now he's special. He was down here. I guess he's gone. Give me an age range, Carol. I gotta have more. I need a little bit more data. It looks like a peccary. 19. Hmm. Anything you got any boot to throw in with? You know, good balls, Irish whiskey maybe, or just a. Hey, we got football fans in here, and I know this isn't Michigan, Carol, but why do they go by the fighting? I figured that one out either. And don't ask me why I'm bringing it up now. I know they're playing so, or sometime today. I can't remember who they're playing, but they are playing. Guys, am I looking fuzzy on your end? Earlier this morning, so maybe now, and I do say. Bear with. Oh, that didn't do any good. Oh, I lost the chat. There it is. Okay, John, you take care. And that's true, bro. We are. Uh-oh. Better get to Dad. Yeah, when it rains, it pours. Went off the line. Brenda, you still? Yeah, I thought I was breaking up. I've got a what's going on. That been worse earlier this morning. It kept falling on. I mean, I look okay on my. Carol or any of you guys, what are you seeing from your? Well, I don't know if I'm Scots either, because they're still from France. Maybe they should be frogs, or I don't know, some kind of French something. I just never understood why so many Catholic schools seem to mimic Notre Dame. By name, you would think would be French related. I think. No, there's not a Notre Dame or Notre Dame. I want to have to look that up, see where that tradition came from. Okay, I thought clear up. I may just sign off early here in a little bit. It's like I said, I'm surprised it hasn't been worse. Probably won't help if I reset it on my end. There went. I know I just went off then, so it's probably going to happen again. Six. Mark left. I know Shelley left, and John. I mean, a lot of other people have too. I tell you what, since it's acting up, I think I will close out early today. It's getting worse on my end, and I'm not even sure you guys are hearing me right now. So I think, and Carol, if you can hear this, and somebody else is not hearing it, please pass it on. And thank you for doing so. If you do, I think I'll sign off. Thank you guys for bearing with me today and letting me take a chance and talk about a subject that's obviously dividing us in this country, divisive or whatever the right word would be. But hopefully we'll get through it one way or another eventually, and we'll all be doing a lot better. I truly hope I haven't lost too many friends doing it. But I think we're good. I hope we are. So since I'm not getting much response back, I don't know whether I'm. Oh well, actually now I look better than I have. Well, I don't. I don't look better. The picture looks better than it has in a while. So maybe it's come back, but I still think I'm going to get off and get ready to watch some football today. I don't. Unfortunately, my team's not playing today. Sounds good now. Okay. Well, it looks better now, so I thought maybe something was, fixed, at least temporarily. I have this silly microphone, which I really like. The microphone, I think, is great. Apparently, it sounds everything I've heard. It sounds good on that end, but I can't get it to tighten up like it should. So it sits here and wobbles, and it shouldn't. It should tighten up right here at this spot, but it doesn't. And I should understand it better than that. I'm gonna have to study on that some more. But for now, I'll let it go. Thank you, Carol. As always, thank you for being here and thanks for your support every way. Kay, thank you very much for being here. I know Mark's gone. He's out catching the ponies. Kay. Oh, Clemson doesn't have one more game to play. I thought they had to play a conference, one last championship game. Maybe they don't do that. Anyway, I know Alabama and Georgia play later, and I've got a feeling that Georgia's gonna. I think Georgia will win that game, but with Alabama, you never know. And I haven't heard if Tennessee's got a bowl game yet or not, so we'll see. But there's should be several good games on today. Oh, so in other words, what Brenda's telling me, Carol, and anybody else that's still here, is that means Brenda's not getting up for a while because Chloe's in her lap under the covers taking a nap. And for some reason, Brenda won't disturb Chloe. She'll get me up, but she won't get Chloe up. Funny thing that is. Anyway, guys, thank you all for being here. Love y'all. I appreciate you indulging me some this morning. I hope everyone shows up next week. And we will be doing. Oh, that's right. They're not, are they? Forgot about that. That's true. Not Chloe, Carol said. Oh, she'll be not. Don't worry. She's a diva. If there's ever a cat we've ever owned a cat that was a diva, it's her. There's somebody else I was going to say bye to, and now I can't remember who all was here, who it was, or something I wanted to say. But I don't see them, so I'm going to check out, guys. Again, thank you for being here, everybody. Have a great weekend. If you're watching football, I hope your team wins, unless they're against my team, which I really don't have. So it doesn't really matter. We'll see how the bowl games are going to turn out. But everyone have a great weekend, and bye-bye for now. See you next week. The creek don't rise. Good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. See you soon.